All right, lesson 34. So lesson 34 is the associative property of addition and multiplication. Okay, the associative property says this. If I have 9 plus 4 plus 6, and it is very similar to the commutative property, but it's just a little bit different. The associative property says I don't need to switch it if I just group them right, okay? So this says I'm going to do this one first, or I'm going to do this one first. We kind of already went through this, that if I did 9 plus 4, this would be 13 plus 6, or if I did 9 plus 4 plus 6, 9 plus 10. Now, I don't have to switch it, okay? The switching method does help if you're having difficulty seeing it, okay? But this sure does make it a lot easier that I can put things in parentheses that I want to be done first. And then I don't have to worry about moving things around or rewriting it. So if I see 9 plus 4 plus 6, I go, oh, 4 and 6, done. I don't have to rewrite it. I just wrote these little parentheses in here, and it makes it so much easier to get to 19. Okay, so that's kind of what's happening here. On this one, it says 8 times 2 times 4. And I'm going to show you both ways. One way says I'm going to do 8 times 2 first, and the other says this way. Well, 8 times 2 is 16 times 4, or I can do 8 times 8. And 8 and 8 is 64, because I ate and ate and got sick on the floor. 8 times 8 is 64. If you haven't memorized your math facts, this is a really good time to start. I have videos for that, and if you don't like those videos, I'll find you some other videos. But if you memorize your 3s, your 4s, of course your 2s, 5s, and 10s, the 6, 7, 8s, and 9s, if you don't memorize all of those, you can get away with not memorizing them if you have memorized 7 times 8, which also gives you 8 times 7, okay? 6 and 8, which also gives you 8 times 6. And what's the other one? It's going to be 8 and 7. Oh, 8 and 8, of course. Oh, so 8 and 8. Okay. So if you memorize these, you got it, okay? This one I tell kids to memorize. 6 and 8 went on a date. They sat at table 48. This one, I ate and 8 and got sick on the floor. 8 times 8 is 64, okay? But this one, 7 times 8 is 56. Memorize those 3, okay? And I'll show you in another video why these are the ones you want to know. Learn your 3s and 4s, guys. Okay, this is going to help you tremendously. Okay, and so I'm just going to write these on here for those who have not memorized that, so that we can use it in this lesson. Okay, because the rest of them I can get to the answer pretty quickly. Let's do this one, the multiplication side, because the rule is the same whether it is multiplication or addition. So the second part on B just wants you to rewrite it, and so it says I'm going to do this one first. Well, I'm going to rewrite it. If it asks you to rewrite the expression, all you're doing is this. All right, and this is utilizing the associative property. It's saying it doesn't matter how I associate it as long as I do it. As long as the numbers are the same and the activity that I'm performing is the same all the way across, then yes, it is the associative property. So if I have 9 times 5 times 7, okay, and this is what it says in the book, I'm just going to switch it. 9 times 5 times 7, I'm going to write them all in there just the way it looks from left to right, and then I'm going to associate it differently. And I'm going to show you using these why we do that. So 6 times 8 times 3, this is 48 times 3, and 6 times 8 times 3, this is 6 times 24. Now this one doesn't show it as well. Okay, I'm still going to have to write up and down math unless I know the distributive property and how to do multiplication that way, which is something I'm going to teach you next. All right, but how about let's look on the bottom, because I can show you better on the bottom. So if we did yeah, let's do this one. 3 times 8 times 2, okay? If this one says use the commutative and the associative property. So commutative says that I'm going to switch these, okay? Well, let me just switch these. So I'm going to have 3 times 2 times 8. Whoa, 3 times 2 gives me 6. And I know that 6 and 8 went on a date. They sat at table 48. So if I can get it to an easy math problem. Now, if I had done it the other way, I would have 24 times 2, which I still could have done pretty quickly because multiplying by 2, I'm going to do 2 times 4, which is 8, and 2 times 20, which is 40, that's the distributive property that we're going to look at later. Let's see another one. 4 times 7 times 5. It wants me to use the commutative and the associative property. Well, you know, I wrote a circle here, but really I should be writing parentheses, okay? Because that's what it's asking me to do. This is giving me the associative property there, okay? So this one has the associative property set up like this, and it wants me to use the commutative and the associative property. So I'm going to, let's see, switch these two. Okay, it's sometimes easier to see if we just do the last two, okay? Oh, look at that. I see a 20, right? So 5 times 4 is 20 times 7. And if I use the commutative property again, I can switch this and say 7 times 20. And this is just 7 times 2 with a 0 on the end, which is 1,440.